MiFi, and we're back. Trying to get back in the swing of doing Wednesday live streams, so we didn't really say much about it. Been busy all day, just with lots of different projects, but we are back at it again.
And our internet's still wonky, so I wasn't sure it was actually going to work. So, but it looks like so far so good.
I think so.
So I guess we'll go through and talk about what has been going on around here. Gosh, for what, the last month? It's been a while since
It's-
we've even attempted a live stream.
Yes.
Um, Last week was Klamath County's fair, so I was helping a young lady that lives about 10, 15 minutes from us.
Yeah.
I helped her a little bit with the getting some stuff together for fair. I did vet checks on the rabbits at fair this year. They did a record in the auction for Klamath County. What did we see?
$1.2 million
in the auction for the kids, which is crazy. My friend Liz, her son, had a market pin of broilers, I think, go for $4,300, 3 rabbits. So yeah, it was kind of an interesting time last week. On top of that, Kanan's parents were here from Colorado, so I was kind of doing the run deal with fair and have house guests. The bootleg fire is pretty much over with. 98% contained. So we're not getting any smoke from that anymore, but we are getting a ton of smoke from Dixie. Is that right?
Yes, the Dixie and Antelope fires out of Northern California are the two huge ones. Dixie, I think, is 500 something thousand last I saw.
Did it make it over 5?
Yeah, it was over 5 last I saw. So it was the biggest contributor to it. But there's Antelope, which is just across the border, I think 20 or 30 miles, maybe 40 miles. And it was contributing, but the Dixie is the monster in California right now that's north of Sacramento and Paradise and where it was a couple years ago.
Yeah, so lots of smoke again. So frustrating. Lots of smoke. But that's kind of been the big thing. I need to get out and do an update video on the garden this week. Garden's been kind of all over the map. I start to do good with something and then the goats get in and eat it. So the baby goats are now contained. At least the foursome that has been the problem is now contained and locked up in the barn. If anybody local is looking for goats, we have lots for sale. Mostly Nubians and mostly bucks is kind of the big thing.
Yeah.
You're going to have to keep an eye on comments because I can't see him.
Holy moly, there's everybody in there. Mr. Litchford's on, Kathy, Heather. Oh, yes. Yeah, Kathy says she even has smoke out there towards the Eugene area, which I can only imagine the mountains. With the wind coming in from the ocean and the mountains on the other side, I can only imagine it's just funneling it straight north. It's just blocking it in and pushing it up.
Everybody's got smoke too. They've even had smoke up in Central Oregon here lately, so it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So today, let's see, we're back to dealing with heat. That's the other thing we've been dealing with for the last month. The up and down, anywhere from 100 back down to 80. Today, I think our weather center thing is reading 98. So I have misters on. Rabbits are doing okay. Definitely hot.
Yeah, it's been 98 today. I think was the highest we saw, and it feels it. I was just outside a little bit ago, with the garage doors rolled up, and even with a breeze, it's probably a 5-mile-an-hour breeze or something, but it just feels like a hairdryer.
Yeah.
You just sweat. You can't bend over because then all the sweat tends to run down in my glasses and ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to keep the garden hydrated right now is pretty tough. I've watered pretty deep every single day. The potatoes are doing a little bit better because they're straw mulched, but yeah, it's dry. My summer litters have been pretty much no go. Most of my does didn't take. No big surprise there. one doe that did take gave me three, which is really small for her. And I had two first timers, both botch litters, which is really unusual for us. So it's kind of been a bummer deal. I've got a friend who's been trying really hard to talk me into going to convention in Louisville this fall. We do have plans to go do that. I don't know if we'll actually end up doing it or not. Um, but honestly, I really don't have much to show. It's just been so hot and so miserable. What you got over there?
No, just everybody just kind of chit chatting, seeing where everybody's going
Oh,
on. It's
okay.
hot. So I have a new member here, Darlene's Garden Channel. I don't remember seeing that name on
Oh,
there
okay.
before, but she's in Eastern Oregon. Said it was 102
Oh,
there
okay.
today, which is
Yeah,
like wow.
it's hot everywhere. My rabbit buyer that's over near Glide, which is out near Roseburg, um, he's basically quit buying at least for the next couple weeks. It's just too hot. He can't keep rabbits alive, and there's another fire near him, and he's getting enough smoke. He's losing does, choking on the smoke, which
Yeah,
is kind of a sad thing. We haven't had any respiratory problems from smoke this year. I've been doing pretty good at turning the misters on when we do have a lot of smoke, so it kind of knocks the particulate out of the air. It's been so hot anyway. We've been using the misters most days anyway. But the rabbits are doing okay, other than we are in heavy, heavy, heavy molt, which is kind of miserable.
yeah,
So every morning I turn the fans on and it just get hit with the hair tornado. And I just took the fans completely apart, a week or two ago, completely cleaned them, and they are already back to just covered in fur, which
yeah,
is miserable at best. But
yeah. No, out in the barn we have some other rabbits. There's some Triantas and Americans in different pens, and they're in the barn. Where I mean, it's hot in there, but at least they're in the shade, and they get kind of a breeze through effect going through the barn. And I tell you what, those cages are just full of hair. Those Triantas look like they
they're
need.
splotchy.
Yeah,
They're
they're so
molting so
splotchy.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's kind of been the big thing. Let's see, the last goat kitted out a couple weeks ago, so goat
yeah,
kidding finally ended really late, but um, all the goats are doing well. I slowed down hatching chickens. Turkeys have been off lay because the smoke. We're still hatching a ton of quail. That's kind of the big stuff. I mean, you can't do much outside because it's so dry. So I mean, I'd love to be out trimming trees and doing stuff right now, but it's constantly a fear right now of setting off a fire. I mean,
yeah,
it's just kind of the way it
absolutely.
is.
Yeah,
So that means I'm not doing much with the tractor. I'm not working with the chainsaw. We're not pulling fence. We did buy ourselves a new gadget that will hopefully be here in a couple more weeks. It's a fence unroller stretcher that mounts to the back of the tractor. So we'll have some updates on that if it actually does show up.
yeah. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's going to do very well for us. So what it does, you can imagine a roll of fence that's a couple 100 pounds, and it's what 3 feet in diameter, 4 feet in diameter. No,
No,
probably
no.
like three, 2.5, 3 feet.
Yeah, it depends on the roll.
But it's got kind of a turntable, and so you stand it on end so it stands vertically, and you set the fence roll on the turntable, and you hook your end piece onto the corner. You unroll a little bit, and then you essentially use the tension where it's holding it in the corner, and you drive away with the tractor, and it just kind of unwinds it.
There's a couple places that make it. Target makes it. The feed store that I could get one from said that they didn't think they could get it for months. I'm sure everybody's still seeing supply chain problems.
Yeah,
But one company in particular said that they could have it to me by the end of the month. So we'll see if that actually does happen. Um, Other than that, we're watching the news and lots more increases coming, of course. Feed has gone up again.
Shoo, yeah,
Every time I go into the feed store, and that's about every 2 weeks, the feed has gone up. We're losing breeders in some breeds, in rabbit breeds, because feed prices nationwide are just crazy. There's a a breeder in Tennessee that I casually know. She is getting completely out because she cannot find rabbit feed for less than $20 a bag. Luckily, I'm still paying about 16 on my pallet price, just over 15. So prices are getting high.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm thinking I'm going to go to an 18% and cut it down a little bit with some hay and do some different stuff with it this fall. Just getting expensive.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you think we went last night to the store to pick up some extra things, just a little bit of, what'd you get? You got some pastas. We got some half-gallon jars, and we filling those with some pastas. We got
stuff that I was just missing in the pantry.
Yeah. We typically do it every fall. We get kind of through most of summer, which was where we are, and start looking at, okay, well, what do we need for the winter? We went through after my parents left. Kind of went through the pantry and looked at everything, and
keep talking. I just was looking to see who's on.
Yeah, Ray said it was 103.
Oh,
he's got the record right now. So we just went to the store. We're still having connection. So Nikki's gonna go try to fix that. But we went to Walmart last night, and it's always crazy is that every time we go in there, we went in and saw a lot of chicken was out, a lot of was. It's like crazy. You think back years ago, maybe 5 years ago, if less, it was like $1.50. It's $5 a pound average. I've heard 99 a pound for beef in their area, which is kind of crazy. I mean, chicken's gonna start going that way. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, the cereal aisle was about cleaned out. That was a bulk cereal, at least. I have a power cord. Don't yank on it.
I wasn't yanking on it.
Okay. So Gatorade was completely out again. Eggs was pretty much out. Juice, just bottled juice, was low, not necessarily out, but there was a couple flavors that we were like, can't get it. So I mean, they're saying shortages are coming. They're saying prices are going up. Tyson CEO had a meeting early this week or end of last week that said they can't even afford to, or they can't raise prices fast enough to keep up with the supply costs hitting them.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah. If you buy Tyson, get it now. A bunch of rate prices are coming. Who's just acting up? As all things, it works until we try and list.
Yeah.
So rate went from $19 to $23.
Wow.
So we went from 45 rabbits. I saw somewhere around 70 something adults. So
yeah.
I don't know. But we also have another mask mandate coming starting Friday.
13th.
And with that, at least in Multnomah County, I think or maybe it was Willamette County. I can't remember. Anyway, they're talking about curfews. Rabbit shows are the first on the list.
Yeah. Those are not life requirements.
Yeah.
It would be the same thing for anything else that's a non-essential activity. Is like it goes right off.
Getting back into rabbits, chicken and beef is becoming unreliable.
Seen it. We've continually seen it kind of fluctuate, but
well, and for those of us on the West Coast, if you've seen the pork bill, now granted it got passed in like 2018.
Yeah.
And the pork producers have been so busy fighting it rather than spend money to improve infrastructure. Bacon may be a thing of the past in California.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is some of the pork that we get in Oregon comes out of California. So if they can't produce it there, we won't get it here either. So
yeah, I mean, I would bet that if California makes it a lot more difficult to get it into their state, two things would happen. One, there are going to be some contraband runs of bacon across the border. And two, there will be the surrounding states like Oregon, if we get it out of California, if we can't get it there, we'll take California's share and start pulling it out of Iowa or the Midwest, where it's a lot of it is grown there and shipped to California. It'll probably divert to other.
We'll just start seeing these guys in trench coats on corners like, you need bacon? I got your bacon.
Yeah, it'll be like that toilet paper thing we saw at Walmart where an
That
older
could,
guy was talking to another one, looking around, going, "I know somebody that's got a hoard of TP, and they'll sell it by the roll if you need it, but it's gonna be a little more expensive. But I got you hookup."
yeah, what was that, March? It's
Yeah, I
like
think it was
March
March
last
last
year.
year when TP was really getting out of hand. But I think bacon will be one of those new ones, or pork chops, or just pork in general.
The Happy Gardener says he gets his pork from a local grower in Cave Falls. That's a good idea.
Yeah, if you
If you
can.
decide you want back in rabbits, holla.
Yeah, no
I've
kidding.
got uh, I've got some oddball colored Americans right now um, that either are getting placed or going to freezer camp, and they're actually pretty nice
They
rabbits.
are. They're very good attitude, also.
And
So
I've got two black does and um, a steel colored doe. Don't ask. It's a well respected breeder that breeds New Zealand's in, and holy cow, did I get some weird colors. But
yeah,
I've got that, and I've got some satin American crosses, which I've been tinkering with. But yeah, I've got rabbits. If you want rabbits, holler. Otherwise, I'm getting ready to butcher a bunch. I always have some, of course. But
yeah,
yeah. Kathy says she grew 3 pigs out last year, so she's good for another year at least. We don't eat a lot of pork. My
yeah,
parents bought us half a pig last year, and we
yeah.
still have
We
a
still
good
do.
amount of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Well, so the Happy Gardener says I grow to eat, not to show. Trust me, you're not going to get a better rabbit than an American.
yeah,
And that's all these guys are. Is
yeah,
they'll be meat breeders because they're funky colored.
yeah,
But yeah, their temperament is way better. The litter sizes are better. They are a superior rabbit to your New Zealands or your mutts. But yeah. But yeah, we saw a part of a pig left.
yeah, yeah. We went through in what?
I was gonna say, so we were cleaning at our guest room for Cannon's parents, and here I'd been thinking I was getting low on canned chicken and different stuff. Oh my gosh. I found cases of stuff that I forgot I canned underneath the bed.
Yeah, we did the mistake of we had a guest bed it's got a taller base to it, and we were like, oh, let's just put it in the back room, and then it was like, well, we're out of rooms. Like, go ahead and put it under the bed. So you can imagine a queen size bed would store a lot of double stacked, quartz and other pieces. So we had double stacked those and shoved them all the way into there.
I found jam. I thought it was out of jelly.
Yeah, no kidding. Jelly, jam,
Pickles.
pickles, jalapenos, chicken. I mean, we had lots of
Yeah.
stuff under that
Some
bed that we didn't.
potatoes I'd canned. I had lots of stuff under
Yeah,
there.
we had a lot of stuff in there.
Pretty wild stuff. So Ray says, I think what they're doing is passing different laws to force the farmers out of California. The new laws with chickens and a new law with hogs. And on top of that, the drought. Yeah, we're dealing with a lot of that here. You've got a lot of beef producers now that are cutting back because don't they won't have hay for them. Hay has been a big deal,
Yeah.
and
Well, water.
pastures are dry. That there are guys that normally lease pasture for cows during the summer that have pulled them and moved them because there's no water for them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's just dry.
Yeah, it's hitting on all different fronts. We probably never even thought were going to happen, but
Yeah,
it's happening.
It's definitely a big deal. And you've got the illegal marijuana and hemp grows right now is a big deal too. So about half an hour from us, where very close, like within a mile or two of where we buy our hay, they just had a big bust last week
Yeah,
before last.
2 weeks ago.
85 greenhouses. You can tell them because you read the article.
Yeah, so it was a 120 acre property, 120 or 150. It was pretty big, but they had 85 greenhouses. That's 85, 30-foot wide by 100-foot long. They had 22,000 plants, marijuana plants they were growing, and it took, I think, 6 different state and county departments to swarm it, make the arrests, and start dismantling it all. And so they were one, they were illegally growing, obviously with intent to distribute or however they were going to do
Right.
it. The thing I think that really got them caught was the fact that they were stealing water.
Yeah, they don't have irrigation rights on that property, so they were pumping groundwater. And no matter how you feel about the marijuana thing, I could care less. Uh, but right now, water here is such a big
Yeah,
deal
yeah,
that, yeah, if you're growing illegally, the neighbors that have always looked the other way may not look the other way forever.
yeah. No
We
kidding.
kind of have a similar situation with a neighbor that's growing hemp, and he has no irrigation rights, and he is far, far, far
Yeah,
irrigating outside of what the county says is okay. I look the other way on it because he's not growing that much. It exceeds what the county says, but
yeah,
um, and they're growing undercover and they're doing what they can to keep the water, but 85 greenhouses of marijuana and we've got what 100 and what did I read you yesterday, 115 wells now in the Klamath Basin that have gone dry.
yeah. It was like 30. I want to say it was 30 or 40 in the first little section, and then in a week it went up over 100.
Yeah,
And
and down into Tule Lake, California, which is Northern California, there's been some of those too. Only like 15, I think, but water's a big deal. And
yeah,
I don't know. The Old Farmer's Almanac says that we are in for an average amount of moisture and
yeah,
average temperatures for our part of the country. So we're hopeful that that means some kind of moisture this winter.
oh, I know.
Several days of actual rain, which was really kind of nice, and but fleeting.
Yeah,
Within like 2 days, we did get like half an inch. It was great, but as a testament to how dry it is, you couldn't tell.
yeah.
You
I mean, it
couldn't-
was within a day it was back to dust.
yeah,
The ground soaked it up, and then it immediately got pretty pretty warm. I won't say it's hot, but it got pretty warm to where it evaporated off enough, and everything else soaked up and went away. I mean,
yeah.
it was nice to have everything kind of turned green a little bit, but it wasn't a lot. So
The happy gardener said he lost his pond this year due to the drought. I believe
I
it.
believe it. I mean, think about it. You see the big stuff, right? Lake Mead that feeds down into Vegas and
Lake Oroville, is that the
yeah, the
lots of them.
Oroville right there that is a power generation dam. They had to turn it off. There's so little water,
Yeah.
and it's that.
A friend said they went out to Gerber Reservoir and there's almost no water in it. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no water. I mean, it's all running down, the Sprague River, which is what our town is named for.
It's not terrible, but it is down.
Yeah, it's down. There's a marsh area that we normally you see it kind of get down a little bit in the summer, and there's parts of it you see it shrink. But I think this year there is no water. I think it's
Yeah.
completely dry.
Yeah, and I have, because I'm watering the garden every day by hand. We're not doing overhead sprinklers anymore, at least not this year, because I want to make sure the water gets to where it's going. Um, I have such a little ecosystem out in the garden right now. I've got racer snakes and tree frogs and great big toads, and because there's no water,
Yeah,
so
everything
everybody,
is coming here for water.
yeah, we've even seen some deer hanging around.
Yeah,
The range cattle are looking pretty bad.
yeah.
So Heather says, how are y'all coping with COVID? Josephine and Jackson County hospitals are full of COVID cases. I haven't seen much of anything coming out of Klamath.
The last thing I saw last night when Nikki and I were looking at statistics is that Klamath Falls really is not doing very bad.
Yeah.
I didn't see that they listed that we have any cases in the hospital. The thing I saw, I think this morning, was that our hospital at max capacity.
And I want to check that you said you're looking at stats. So it actually says that there's 6,600 beds
overall
in the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
So the population of 2019 was 4.2 million people. So let that kind of sink in a little bit. When they say the hospitals are being overrun and they're full, you're only talking a couple hundred beds for million COVID discussion, but yeah,
Well, but
it's serious. I'm not saying it's not serious,
the
but
thing about it is, so without going too far into it, we'll do status. 1,000 of those 6,600 are ICU American Blue. So go for it. Nikki's not in the room, but she'll be back. So, go for it for your blue. All right. So Heather said they have 50 beds and 6 ICU for a total of 56. We have overflow into the tent now. That's not hard though. I mean, if you do really 6 beds or 56, yeah. I would say, if they're only doing, are they only using the 6 for ICU? And, or is it they can go 56 and then they overflow that? It's interesting statistics, I guess. All right.
Is it working?
Yes, it seems to be working now.
Okay.
Ellen's Edge is going to ask about an American Blue.
What about them?
I don't know yet. She hasn't asked.
Yes, you can always ask a question about Americans.
Absolutely.
Oh, Holly, quick.
Yep.
Did you talk about wells while I was gone?
I tried to. Good.
Yeah, there are a lot of new people that moved in this year, so a lot of new wells,
Okay.
and I'm kind of wondering if that's making things worse. Oh, okay. I was trying to look at what I missed. Yeah, so that's kind of, let's see, that's kind of been what
Thank you.
we've been dealing with around here.
Yep.
Kanan's been out working on cars.
Yep. I'm selling everything. It's all got to go. Gonna do something different. There you go. Thank you. So all those, I had bought a Porsche from an auction last fall, and then it didn't have keys, and I couldn't get keys, and that turned into a whole scenario I don't even want to talk about because it was ridiculous between the DMV and getting keys from Porsche. So I had bought a parts car, swapped all the locks over, and I have everything here in the garage. So I'm basically right now getting the parts car taken apart to swap to the good car, and actually got it to start yesterday. It's been in storage for 3.5 years, almost 4 years.
I'm going to have you close that door. Those chickens are noisier than I thought they were.
It actually started yesterday. It was awesome. It took a little bit of convincing, but it starts with a key. It's pretty. I think it's cool.
He was very excited. Okay.
Right.
So Ellen says, I'm lagged, so bear with me. I have purchased 2 American Blues from a local breeder, and they have a tendency to have gray fur throughout the pelt. Is that normal for American Blues? And how old they were, and they're a year old. Had they always had gray through their pelt?
Like steel gray? Like
well, to me it's
fighting?
No. I bet it's not steel. Well, it could be. Is it like silvery gray white hairs, or is it like splotches? What we might have to do is have you send me pictures of this so that I can answer this better. Because they shouldn't have a bunch of stray white hairs, and they shouldn't have a bunch of stray gray hairs. They can be kind of splotchy when they're transitioning from a junior to senior coat, but at a year old, they should be well into a senior coat. They could be getting splotchy right now because of mold, because some of mine are. Yes, silver and white gray hair. Is it scattered throughout the whole rabbit? Here's what I think you should do. Take a picture of them, like a good kind of up-close picture of the fur, and then kind of one back. Email them to me, srhomestead@yahoo.com, and let me look at it. Because Americans can be kind of funky, but it sounds to me like you might have some bad fur color. Yeah. Is what it sounds like. But without seeing it, it's really kind of hard to tell.
It'll be interesting to see because, we have, it's weird, we have, the pen out in the barn that I feed and water every day. There's a true black, like a jet black. You have a steel, which is, it's not a white, it's silver. It's like a big, it's like popcorn or salt and pepper really kind of mixed in. and then you have the true whites. So it's interesting to see all of them sit at the feed bowl together, because you'll have, a black, a white, and a silver sitting next to each other.
So she said, I'm thinking I got taken, not purebred.
Hard to say.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's always really tough to say. Generally, you shouldn't get a lot of weird stuff out of them. You really shouldn't. The pair of blues. So I bred a blue to a white, or I bred a white buck to a blue doe, and I got these funky black and steel. And that's when I figured out that the breeder had been breeding New Zealand in. So it does happen. Unfortunately, I hang out on some rare breed groups and on Facebook, and there's something called a blue chinchilla, that a number of breeders are using throughout the country. I've never seen this on the West Coast.
No.
So I'm kind of curious as to, I haven't seen pictures of them yet. I know what a chinchilla is, and instead of having the black base, a blue chinchilla will be a chinchilla that's blue based. I don't know why in the world a breeder would use those, but they continue to throw funky hair colors. I really pay top dollar for show quality, and I'm not convinced they're right. Let's talk offline on it. Just give me some pictures and send me an email, and we'll chit chat. And you'll have to remind me where you're at, because I may be able to help. The Happy Gardener popped up and said, how much bigger are the Americans, and then it disappeared. But they're Americans and New Zealand's are basically listed as the same size, 10 to 12 pounds for does, 9 to 11 for bucks. They're mandolin type, so they're longer. And the big thing with the Americans is because they're longer bodied, you're getting better offspring, more and better offspring. And my lines in particular with the Americans tend to run big. So my does typically are 12 to 14 pounds. I'm on the higher end. And that's only because there's such weight problems. In most breeds, I wouldn't do that, but there's such weight problems within the Americans that having larger stock makes mine a little bit more sought after, because so many people are having problems. Southeastern Ohio. Okay. If I go to convention this fall, like I said, let's talk about it offline, but if I go to convention this fall, that is late October, and we'll be in Louisville, Kentucky. Maybe we can figure out how to get you some stock. No. But let's start with what you've got and see if it's just a bad coat or bad color or whatever. But I'm coming. Hopefully, I'm coming that way. Now, that could change with mask mandates and vax passports and a million other things. But right now, I'm planning to go that way. And I do have
gas at $52 a gallon.
Well, that's why we're not taking my Suburban. My friend's got a minivan. But I do have some juniors that would be ready by then. I've got some little guys that are like a month old and might be able to help. Because nothing makes me more sad than when people try and get Americans and they get gypped. So, and it happens. It happens a lot. A nice woman here that lives in Salem that I have helped quite a bit paid a lot of money for some rabbits that never made 8 pounds. So, kind of a big deal. Happy Gardener, all I've ever grown was New Zealand's and Californians, so I'm very curious to see the quality of an American. Go through our playlist. We have a video on Americans. Yeah. That'll give you a starting point. And then, let's see, my next, well, I've got blacks available now.
Yeah.
Let me work out a time and maybe you can come out and take a look at them.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a couple weeks because I'm kind of busy, but we can try and work something out and you can come take a look at them.
Yeah.
Because I do need to get those does butchered. And then I've got a couple of real nice blue junior bucks that decided to tear each other's ears up. But if you're just breeding for meat, they'd be fine.
Yeah, they'll be good stock. you can just call them lucky, because they're not.
Ellen says, I love my rabbits and will not act on it as they seem to be seem to be great rabbits, and I can let the
Yeah.
grandkids hold them.
If they have good personalities, that's good.
Yeah.
Our email is srhomestead@yahoo.com.
I'm going to type it in there too so that you have it. And I'll admit I'm usually a day or two behind. So if you send me something, I don't get back to you right away. Don't panic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll look at them. I might be able to give you a better idea. They could just be poor colored. It could be a lot of different things.
It could be, you know.
Don't convince yourself that they're wrong until I tell you they're wrong.
Yeah, I think while the color might be not what you expect, I think the body typing will be a better indicator, or be a very good indicator also that they either are or not Americans. Because we saw, we just went to the county fair, and we got there, and
Should I tell the story about this little girl?
You can.
The girl up the street. I'm over there helping her put meat pins together and getting them evaluated for fair and stuff, because this is her first year, and she got a leader that has never done rabbits. So I'm looking through all these rabbits, and I'm like, what are these? Well, they're supposed to be California, New Zealand mixes, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, boy, that's a really deep blue color, but okay. So I'm looking, and every one of these babies, even the decent ones, they're a little long in the shoulder, and I'm like, okay, well, they're just poorly bred, mutt type. Okay. We get all done. We figure out what she's going to take, which, by the way, the roaster that I talked her into taking, Grand Champion roaster. So yay to McKenna.
Yeah, and it's her first year. So.
It's her first year. So very proud of McKenna. She did really good. But she has me look at her adult breeding stock, and we pull this doe out, and I'm like, gosh, that blue is deep. That's like way past New Zealand blue, but all right. Take her out, set her on the table. The doe backs up into a perfect mandolin type pose. And I went, that's not a New Zealand, California. I don't know what she is. I do, after looking at several different features and points, I do suspect heavy American influence in there. Whether or not she's got a quarter or a half or what, I couldn't tell you. But very nice mandolin type, sadly, on an 8-pound rabbit. So not at all the right size, but good head features, good ears. So yeah, unfortunately, you see a lot of stuff sold as an American if it's blue, or California, New Zealand is what everybody gets told, and they're very seldom. One kid showed up at fair with a project that he said was, these are purebred New Zealand, and they were Harlequin marked, and 2 of the offspring were Rex furred. And I was like, honey, those are not New Zealand's. So Ray says, I'm breeding my New Zealand to get broken blues, the blue buck to a broken black doe. I came up with some funky black kits. They're almost a year now, and I will breed them back to the blue buck. Genetics are fun.
Yeah.
Especially when you start dealing with brokens and all kinds of stuff. Ellen, I want to breed these 2, but I need to know what I have. Hopefully we can sort that out for you.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Weigh them too. If you haven't weighed them already, weigh them and see what they're weighing, because that's usually a good indicator of what they are. Especially a year. You should be looking at bucks that are 9 to 11 and does that are 10 to 12. I mean, pretty spot on by 9 months. But definitely now that they're a year old. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I saw some funky stuff at fair. Saw some chestnuts that were supposedly New Zealand, California mix. That not impossible, not terribly likely.
Yeah.
Lots of Californians at fair. A few New Zealands, and I'll just kind of give everybody a warning on the channel going forward. I'm going to be putting out some new rabbit videos here probably in the next couple of months that are going to be mostly focused towards the 4-H and FFA kids, because we saw a lot of funky stuff at fair.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we live in a county where it's pork and beef county, so it's there's not enough emphasis on the rabbits. So I'm going to be doing some series at the request of my friend who was superintendent but is not now. We decided to take it upon ourselves to get some education for these kids. And so I'm going to be making some videos that talk about things like how to select your breeders to grow for market rabbits. Because the thing we kept finding is all the smaller rabbits that barely made fryer weight. When we talked to the kids about how big their breeders were, they were all 8-9 pounds. And it's really hard to get a appropriately sized fryer or roaster out of rabbits that aren't the appropriate size.
Well, but as much as Nikki says they're going to be targeted 4-H, if you want to do meat anything or more towards a commercial market standard, it would be very good information for that. Because again, if you decide, hey, I want to go forth and I want to put in a meat program, right? You're getting out of pork, you're going to go into doing rabbits. What should I look for? Well, getting good stock and the pieces there. What should you look for in good breeding rabbits? For health, for size, for the different facets and the aspects of getting rabbits. That is all good for everything. As a commercial or market, like we would do if we were going to do certain lines of rabbits for meat only. We weren't really necessarily worried about color of fur and markings, but we really wanted a good solid loin and good hindquarters and all the pieces of a rabbit. These will focus to that. Like, what do you feed? What's the best way to do it? When do you do certain stuff? The 4-H stuff that's out there now, we did it two fires ago. Nikki did the one about how to feed a market pen for 4-H. And the first year, the kids that won, that were grand champions, that got the most at the auction, they followed Nikki's video. They watched it a couple times. They did that before. The ones that did well this year, well, some of those were on their second year of doing Nikki's way of doing it. The one that was the number one that made $4,200 or $4,300 for 3 rabbits, over $1,000 per rabbit, used her feeding method.
In all fairness, we just had a really generous.
We did. I know it was the fact that we didn't have fair last year, but
there is an art to 4-H rabbits.
There are,
and market rabbits.
There are.
And getting good quality rates and good quality meat in a short amount of time it's not always practical for us homesteaders because it's more time intensive. If you've ever watched that video, I know a lot of people have watched that video, but there are some other things that are basics to getting good meat animals and getting a good quality yield in a appropriate amount of time. So just giving everybody a heads up. What'll happen is I'm going to create a whole new playlist, probably for 4-H and FFA, and it won't be going into the Ultimate Rabbit list anymore. It'll kind of be going into its own thing. But, they're out there for everybody. There's going to be good information in it. I'm not saying there's not, but,
right.
Specifically, I'll be doing more videos for the kids.
Yeah.
The Happy Gardener said, I think there are some real hack breeders in K-Town. And you would be correct.
Yeah.
One in particular, who I will not name publicly, really has sold some garbage to kids, and it really makes me mad. And all I can hope is that eventually people are going to finally figure that out and quit buying stuff from her. She screwed over a couple of 4-H kids, which really makes me angry. And, I don't understand people that will do kids wrong. That really grates on me. I don't understand people who will do people wrong. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
But we have a real dilemma in this county with people who, some people I think don't mean poor things. They honestly believe, they've started with stock that are Cal New Zealand crosses, and they've been sold that, and so they tell people that, and it's not. It's just not.
Yeah.
Ellen's Edge, you have to know that I learned everything from you guys. You're the best I know of. No nonsense, straight up great help. We try.
Yeah, we're a little bit brutal some days, but
Oh yeah, no,
That's who we are. Unfortunately, you got to take the good with the bad with us.
Ray says I call on my rabbits at about 10 weeks because I have had some that were underweight at 6 weeks. Out by 9 weeks, they had surpassed the ones that were bigger. Yeah. They do. It's the best way to get good growth rates is all about strategic, and I'll talk about this in some of the videos. Strategic separation is probably the best way to put it. Too many people wean litters together and then can't get even growth rates, and it's because of competition. Your biggest ones will always push out your smaller ones, whether you're talking hogs, calves, chicks, or bunnies. It doesn't make any difference. The biggest ones will always dominate. The little ones will take the scraps and they just won't grow. So you have to know when it's appropriate to separate, how to separate, in what way to group them to separate. When we did that, so I went 2 weeks before a fair to meet this young lady up the street, and she had a whole litter of 8 together. When we got done, we had left 2 together, a pen of 3 and a pen of 3, and some of those rabbits posted a whole pound of growth in a week once we got them separated appropriately, picked rabbits that were very similar in size, changed how she was feeding them. Consistently, every rabbit picked up at least 10 ounces in 7 days. So it can be done. It's you just have to know the hows and whens and whys to do it. And too many people do the whole, well, they look the same size. Scale. You've got to weigh everything. If you're not weighing, then you're guessing. And I don't do guesswork very well.
Yeah.
Kathy says that sounds like a great video series. And O'Donnell says, good day, guys. Howdy.
From us northerners to the southerners. The real southerners.
Yeah, the real southerners.
That's right.
Down in Australia.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's been busy. We've just, we took off, 4 days because my parents were here, and it's hard to get into too much stuff. We did our chores every day. I went to town with them for lunch one day. Went
I
downtown.
still did the fair Friday.
Yeah, you went to the fair Friday to help with vet checks. We all went. My parents, Nikki and I, went back on Friday night to go to the fair to actually just go as spectators and kind of look over the animals. But we had food there and ice cream and caramel corn, and did all the bad for you food fair that was awesome. Oh
yeah, I gotta give a shout out to who is that?
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese steaks. They are a local food vendor. I've had their mac and cheese.
Right.
But they have this thing that is literally a mac and cheese steak. And I see it every year at the fair, and it's like the ultimate in bad for you. And I thought, I'm doing it this year. It is literally, I got the buffalo chicken. So it's a buffalo chicken cheesesteak, right? Cheesesteak, big cheesesteak. Onions, peppers, chicken. And then they put like a cup of macaroni and cheese. And they mix it all together. And then dump even more buffalo sauce on it. I did not make it all the way through. I paid for it for 2 days. But I can now say that I have successfully done the mac and cheese steak, because they're hugely popular out here, and
yeah, they've done.
We see them every year at fair, and everybody raves, you got to try the mac and cheese steak. And I just thought, what a weird thing, and it's not my cup of tea, but I did try it.
Yeah, no, my dad and I had Thai. My mom had a gyro, I think, is what she had.
Yeah,
and
you guys had Thai.
Yeah, and that was good. I always try to eat the Thai whenever they're at an event. I always try to eat there because I really enjoy their food. Nikki doesn't like Thai food, so if I can get it just for a single serving of one, I will do it. But it was good. We had caramel corn. We all got ice cream at the end, and it was fair-sized ice cream, so it was like 2 scoops
and
a
my God.
waffle cone.
Finish it all.
Even I think 1 scoop would have been plenty, but 2 scoops in a waffle cone. By the time I was done, I was done. It was darn right punishing to get the last few bites of ice cream and cone down, but I was not going to give up. So I did it, and I paid for it. I'm not lactose intolerant, but I sure felt like it was.
I'm not hugely lactose intolerant, but enough, especially after a mac and cheese steak.
Yeah, yeah.
With good, oh my gosh, real cheese, y'all. It's not Velveeta. It's like real.
Yes, they do.
Great. I can't even think of the cheeses that they use, but oh my gosh, real good cheeses.
Yeah.
And it was great. I walked around in misery for like an hour afterwards, and then yeah, his parents are like, "Let's finish the night with ice cream," and I'm like,
yeah.
I did it, and I was sad about it.
Yeah.
But that's fair, right? You suffer a little bit. Ray asked about the cookbook. Okay, so the cookbook has been on hold. I'm hoping to get back on it. Like I said, it's very close to being finished. I thought I'd have it done by rabbit class. We didn't do that. And then, as everybody knows, COVID and fires and
fairs and families
and family.
What other F's can we come up with?
So every time I sit down and I get a page in final edit, that's it for a couple more weeks. And on top of all of that, and like I said, I've been helping with the 4-H. On top of that, it's an election year in the Harlequin Club. So when I put the newsletter together this last time, it was 29 pages.
Yeah, it was huge.
It took me about a week. So a lot of stuff going on. I'm hoping that I don't even want to give y'all a date anymore. It will be done by Christmas for sure.
There's a date.
Well, I'm hoping to have it done before I go to convention.
Yeah.
Because I've got some friends that really want a copy of it that will be at convention, and I would love to be able to say, here you go. Yeah, it soon. I know everybody's been hearing this for a year and a half, 2 years now. Soon.
Yeah.
It really is very close. I had somebody that I was going to have print it. Printing costs have now gone up. So I'm reshopping it while I finish the rest of it, but it's very close to done. In fact, I've kicked like 2 more recipes into it since then because there's been stuff that, so Michael says, I'm sure glad you guys have been back on Wednesday nights. Haven't been the same without your live stream. We weren't sure we were gonna even make it tonight, but
I've just been excited. So I have 2 major cars going on right now, and I'll put the blame tonight on me. So Nikki was busy working. I've been in the garage for the last couple hours trying to get this Porsche done. And so I had a Mustang I was working on that I finished right before my parents got here. And the next piece was to get the Mustang out of the garage, get the Porsches brought up here, and everything was kind of staged and ready to go. And my parents came, and my dad had double knee replacement around Christmas. Was that right?
I don't even remember. Earlier this year, I thought.
Yeah, it was like earlier this year. Anyway, he's still getting used to his new bionic man knees, I guess you would say. So he's not able to really help push cars. Nikki and I were doing enough. Really, she was doing most of it with the Suburban. I had a toe strap. So we got everything done around, and yesterday I got out there and got this Porsche started, and since I decided I'm going to sell it, what I'm trying to do is just get enough value put into it with the correct parts and pieces, and the fact that it actually will start with a key and run is huge, right? Because you can at least put it on a trailer, or it doubles its value. So I've been really trying to push to get it back together and to check what works, to fix what I can without having to tear apart too much of the car. And then I've just been so excited, especially since it started yesterday. I kind of did a little happy dance in the garage yesterday, and Nikki was looking out the window like, this guy over here.
Sad dancing.
Well, it is sad dancing, but I tell you what, it was huge, because I knew at that point it would start, run. If I throw some tires on it, I could drive it up and down the driveway, and it would go, and it would be.
I'd probably burst into flame, kill us, and burn our house
Well,
down.
there's always that possibility, but. So today I was the same thing. I was just working, lost track of time, and I showed up, like at 5:20 for a 5:30 live stream. It was like, are we going to live stream? If not, I'm going back to the garage. And I was like, yeah, where you been? Well, I lost track of time again. I should have set an alarm at 5, but anyway.
Hopefully, if our internet stays working,
maybe.
We'll go back to doing Wednesdays at 5:30 because that works really good for us. Because one, we're not competing with every other Yoko on Mondays. Kanan sometimes has AMSOIL calls on Tuesdays. I sometimes have 4-H on Mondays.
Yeah.
So Wednesday tends to work for us pretty good. So hopefully we're going to be back to it. Yeah. I didn't realize how long it had been until I looked earlier today.
It's like 4 weeks, I think. 4 weeks? 3 weeks?
At least 4 weeks. Yeah. It's been a while. I think June.
Yeah.
This is August.
The hardest thing I've had, though, Nikki and I had mentioned Monday, I think we had talked about it, and said, do you want to live stream this weekend or this week? And I thought, yeah, and we always try to come up with a topic.
Well, not this week.
And this week we really didn't, because I tell you what, the last 2 days, and my parents being here, they're a little bit different on political views. We're pretty conservative down here. They're a little bit on the other side of the aisle. So it's a little tense. It's a little interesting to have conversations. It's all under the same political conversation at dinner and different things. So we came out of that and it was like, well, what are you going to talk about this week on Wednesday? And I was like, gosh, I don't know. Do we have any happy news to share? I mean, yes, we've stayed busy, right? We're still alive. We still have water. We still have plenty of food. We still have shelter, obviously. But the news is not a lot positive. You have scandals and you have price hikes and you have shortages, and it just seems like, what do you talk about that isn't going to be a downer, even though that's like what we see as reality. We could talk about the Kardashians. What's up with the Jenners?
Like either one of us would know.
I don't know, but I'm sure I could do some research on Wednesday afternoon to come up with something. What's the latest celebrity news? I don't know. So maybe next week we'll have a dedicated topic that we can talk about. Something happens in between here and then. I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's hard to come up with a topic that is targeted to homesteading and kind of conservative lifestyle, I guess, without being overly political, overly negative, and not talking about COVID and vaccinations. Because it's like, geez, those are the 3 things that seem like to dominate the news anymore, and turn everybody against each other. So.
Donald's was asking which ones are rare breeds, and that's the partial list of what I can think of.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh, Beverins are another one.
Yeah.
Ellen's Edge. The Louisville trip is the end of October. I want to say convention is like around the 24th.
Yeah, I think it's the weekend prior to Halloween, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Saturday, I think this year, I want to say.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, I think my reservations for the house are like the 24th through the 27th. I could be wrong there, but somewhere in there, it's towards the end of October. I can find better dates for you, and I'll try and map it and see where we're driving to. So I'm, provided that I get to go, driving from here to Missoula, Montana, and then riding with a friend all the way to Louisville. So, I got to see how we're going. I mean, Ohio is really close. I mean, I've been there many a times.
Giant.
Oh, giant chinchilla. That's another one I missed. All the chinchilla breeds here are rare breeds.
Yeah.
That's a great trip for me. 2-hour drive. I could definitely make it. Awesome.
Yeah,
that would be even better.
2-hour drive to be in person. That would be hugely beneficial.
Yeah, we'll just have to figure out. We are getting a rental house, so I just have to figure out what the animal policy would be if I brought animals that aren't going to convention. We'll figure that out later on, but I might be able to bring them and find somewhere. Either that or sometimes you'll get local breeders that will let you house rabbits off-site. Because once they get checked into convention, they can't leave till Wednesday.
Yeah.
So that, I know midweek is kind of an awkward thing, but we'll figure that out. But I do have some that I can probably do. I've got some nice ones set aside for Michael right now. But I should have some extra, so I should be able to get you some stock. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of everything that's going on around here.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything major.
No, we're just dealing with the heat, the smoke.
Yeah, and then we're already looking at like, okay, well, what's fall gonna be? Because we're already a third of the way through August. September.
My biggest worry is that
Yeah.
it's so dry. We've got to do firewood this year.
Yeah.
And is it going to just? We've had this in the past where we go dry, 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 and then all of a sudden, boom, rain, weeks of rain.
Yeah.
And are we going to get into a situation where we're trying to cut firewood in the frickin' mud, which sucks?
Yeah.
And I don't know. We might be.
Yeah, because it's 100-degree day. You don't want to be out there running a saw.
No, it's not safe with as dry as it is.
Yeah, I mean, just setting your saw down in grass can start a wildfire.
And our humidity seriously has been reading 1 on our humidity gauge at the house.
Yeah.
So terrible stuff. Kathy getting ready to watch a movie and chill in the AC. We don't even have AC, Kathy.
Hopefully we'll get to watch a movie or something tonight. We've kind of been lax on our evening TV stuff because
we haven't even hardly turned it on a day.
We haven't.
Enjoy your movie. We'll catch up with you guys later.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, really. Though we're just continuing on. I mean, there's nothing new. We have lots of turkeys and chickens and things in the fall to butcher and process. Rabbits.
I'm all caught up on quail.
Yeah, you're good on quail.
Although everybody who warned me that quail, you start with like 5 and you end up with like 40. Man, they ain't wrong. I separated a bunch of mine into breeder groups the other day, and I figured out. Let's see. Originally, I started with one group, hatched out some pharaohs or browns or whatever jumbos. So I had 2 groups, and I'm currently sitting at 6 groups.
Yeah.
Of like 4 and 5. So yeah, those quail you don't realize how many you have because they don't eat hardly anything. A 50-pound bag of feed goes freaking forever. And then I got counting the other day, and then I think I've got 25 in the one growing pen, and I've got like another 10 in the other. So I've got quail coming out of my ears.
Yep. So
O'Donnell says they have AC for those tough days for her rabbits.
We've tried AC, just couldn't make it work here.
I don't. The big thing for us is we're so dry that misters are enough. Misters and fans really are enough.
Yeah.
And sometimes like this year, I expect that this fall will be a slow go because I would imagine I'm going to be dealing with some heat sterility in some of the bucks. But I also kind of gotten better over the years about knowing that the coolest place in the barn, right, is on the floor. So we tend to rotate our bucks as it gets hot closer to the floor so that they don't get quite as affected by the heat. So anyway, well, we're over an hour. So I think, I don't know.
That's it. That's pretty much it. If you guys have any topics for next week you want to talk about, otherwise we'll come up with something, see what's going on. Can do some quail eggs. We have oodles of quail eggs around here. So
yeah,
just gotta pick you up.
Well, and my girlfriend in Montana that I'm going with actually hatches Caturnix quail too, so you never know. We might be able to put you together a pack of them if we can keep from breaking them, because that's going to be the trick, right? Right now, it looks like 3 or 4 of us ladies in a van full of rabbits with all of our gear. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
So let's talk about quail. I need to start quail. That I'm working on. So I'll probably start doing some quail videos. Everybody's been asking for them, and now that I've had them almost a year.
Yeah, you feel confident in the knowledge.
Yeah, I mean they're not terribly difficult. People either love them or hate them. I had put off doing videos, even though everybody started asking me for them right out of the bat, because I feel like I wanted the actual experience. Like, I see a lot of people complain about scalping, and we have had some of that. Um, I feel like we've dealt with most things now to where I feel comfortable making a video and not just, I don't like those kind of people who make a video about stuff that they've never done.
Or they've done for a month.
Yeah, and I didn't feel comfortable about that. But now we've had them for September. The beginning of September will be a full year, so I'll start making some videos and we'll talk about them. And I feel like I've really got the hang of it. Half of the information I see online I think is wrong. I think it's just people regurgitating what other people have told them about how high the protein has to be and all this other stuff. And I will say the chicks are very much like raising turkeys. You got to be ready for that high mortality rate, because they are seriously suicides looking for a place to happen. I mean, I have had them drown in the quail fount waters that are supposed to be impossible for them to drown in. I've still had them drown in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all right, guys. Well, I think that's it for us for tonight. And as always, you can reach us srhomestead@yahoo.com. If you want to see us on Instagram, we're pretty lackluster on Instagram here lately. Yeah. But we still have our account. There's some stuff I need to put up. Facebook hasn't been much better lately, but we are on Facebook, and
that's it.
No Twitterverse for us, not our bag.
No tweets, no Snapchats, no Twitch. I don't know, whatever else is out there, we're not there.
Whatever the new flavor of the week is.
Yeah, we're not there.
We tried TikTok, we gave up.
Yeah, not for us, so.
No, I'm just not about to eat Tide Pods or anything, so that's...
Yeah, frozen honey, not happening.
No, not this time, so.
All right.
All right, guys. Happy homesteading, and we will see you guys next time.